Okay, let's get started. Apologies for any background noises. I was just mentioning I'm in the clinic and I'm actually out in the hallway because there's lots of things going on in the clinic. And I actually just sat with a patient. It was a really profound experience for me as well as for the patient. Some really heartbreaking trauma. And one of the questions that this patient kept asking uh, was, is this real? And obviously with the right dose of ketamine and so kind of anything's up for grabs at that point when the ketamine's flowing. And that's part of the intention, that's part of the healing mechanism of the ketamine experiences, is that it just gives us a very different vantage point on what we usually perceive as just being our unquestioned reality. And so I thought today we could explore that a little bit, keeping in mind here some basic neuroscience. It is estimated, of course, this is going to vary person to person, but this is sort of a fun, rough estimation that our brain receives about 11 million bits of data per second. So the way to think about that is, all the receptors in our eyes, in our skin, throughout our body, all of the five senses, they're constantly picking up information from the world around us. And that information that gets fed in through our system, up the spinal cord and into the brain, where it's then turned into what we perceive to be our reality. Of course, it goes through a filter, and that filter is the narrative creation, the story making that the brain uses to give us that subjective sense of, oh, this is my reality, this is what's happening in this moment. And so, hit your thumb with a hammer, all of that information goes up to the brain, it turns into a story of pain, and then oftentimes that's followed up by, how stupid of me, I should have paid more attention, right? So all this stuff just happens. Similarly, someone who smiles at us as we're walking down the street, that also gets turned into a narrative, and that is probably a pleasant one. So the question of what exactly is reality is very much influenced by our past experiences and the automaticity that the brain and the nervous system uses to reinforce certain narratives. And then we go through life with a sense of a perception of ourselves and how we fit into life and what's happening. Now, there are sort of these two things that I want to point out here. The first one is just awareness as we practice here. So for example, you can try this right now. If you just wiggle your toes, you will be aware of the sensation of your toes wiggling in your shoes or on the floor. That's sort of straight up just self-awareness. And what I want to focus on today is what we call meta-awareness, or also called metacognition. So as we wiggle our toes, we have the direct experience, the awareness of the sensation in our toes. But then there's another part of us that sort of lives a little bit further back that is aware of this awareness, right? So it's hence meta awareness. It's like the awareness that sits on top of our direct awareness. And the reason I think that's really interesting to explore or cultivate some skillfulness at is, again, it gives us a level of freedom to be able to step outside our usual activity of, thoughts that come up. You need to notice experience and all of this that answering that question of what is real. We get to more say in that matter at that point. So anyway, without further ado, I hope this is not too esoteric and too out there, but yeah, let's try it out. So start by closing your eyes. Notice the body in space and time, so feet on the ground. Most of us are sitting in a chair, so just noticing how the chair is supporting our buttocks and our lower back. Noticing how our head sits on top of our spine. And becoming aware of breath. Always a reliable go-to point of contact with the present moment. Experiences is breath because it's always happening. It's always there. And we can start by using breath. So notice sort of bringing some focused attention or some awareness to the experience of breathing. Starting with the nostrils, nasal cavity, the throat, the lungs, the chest expanding and contracting, shoulders rising and falling. There's so many aspects of breath that we can become aware of. We can randomly pick a part of this cycle of breathing. So let's focus on the nostrils. Become aware of the cool air and how the nostrils are sensing this cool air as it enters the nose. And then if you exhale through the nose, you'll notice the change in temperature, warm air passing back out. So right now, the goal is just to be aware, become aware of breath entering the nostrils and leaving the nostrils by witnessing the change in temperature and the sensory experience. Now we're going to activate a different part of our brain, the the awareness of having that sensory experience. So the awareness of the awareness in the nostrils. It's the part that I often refer to as the witnesser. When we're simply bearing witness, we're able to bear witness to the fact that we're having an experience in any given moment. And then we can shift our attention to our feet and go ahead and wiggle your toes, moving and back. We know this is happening because there's a very distinct sensory experience of wiggling our toes. And then again, see if you can take sort of a big cognitive step back and become aware of the awareness of the wiggling toes. Like bearing witness to the fact that we are aware of the sensation of our toes wiggling. You can stop wiggling your toes and let's see if we can just notice in general what's it like to be in the body right now. The distinct sensation that we can perceive of our body in this moment. And again, taking a step, become aware or bear witness and the reason this is relevant, bring full circle back to this question of what is reality, is when we can bear witness to all the experiences that we're having in any given moment of the day. So these millions of bits of data flood our nervous system. We can take a step back and notice ourselves going through these experiences and having them. Just injects a little bit of agency and choice into the equation, and we can actually participate in creating the narrative of our reality. Go ahead and take a deep breath in. Slow out breath through the mouth. And hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Another deep inhale through the nose. Slow out breath through the mouth. Relaxing your shoulders. Hold. On back to the session. Hope that wasn't too much word salad, or if it didn't make any sense to you, please don't worry about it. We can revisit that, or I'm happy to chat one-on-one if it's helpful. But yeah, anyway, hope the experiment worked. Have a great day, everyone.